All right. What's up, everybody? It's Willow, the series on Disney Plus. And people sent a screener for the first 3 episodes. Only watched 2. I got a chance last night. I took my 11-year-old to go see the they had a theater event for it. So I went and I brought her to it. And I'll tell you why. Because I started watching the first episode a couple weeks back when they sent it. And I was like, this ain't for me. I love the first Willow, and I know that if you watch it now, it's dated, the CGI and all that, and the idea of it. I get it. It's not something I think that you pick up today and go, "Oh, it was amazing." It's like it was nostalgic, and I think that the premise, the idea of it, Warwick Davis is incredible. All of that was the stuff I loved about Willow. I just loved it as a kid. The Ron Howard movie, I thought it was great as a kid, and so I was excited for the series. So I watched the first episode, watched the first 10 minutes of or even 15 maybe. And Joanne Whaley is fantastic in it. She returns. And then they introduced the new cast. And I said, minus Infinesse, who is also in Falcon and Winter Soldier, she's fantastic. She's just a really great actress. The rest of the cast seemed like they were in a different show in the first 10 or 15 minutes. It was almost like a CW show. And I said, uh-oh. There's a line that one of the main characters walks up to Tony Revolori and says, hey, we're supposed to get married. That's weird. I'm like, oof, the dialogue it's like people kind of cosplaying, and it was like a mix between this medieval feel that I remember as a kid with the English accents and everything, and then just kids with just straight out American accents. And I know what you're going to say. Mad Mardigan, Val Kilmer had one. Yeah, but 2 things. 1, you barely noticed it. 2, I have a somewhat New York accent that comes out here and there. My kids don't. And it's just some of the modern speech patterns mixed with the fantastical kind of Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings language. It threw me off completely. And I said, I don't believe any of this. And they were trying too hard in the beginning. The kids are showing the sassy princess who doesn't want to be tied down to a marriage to Tony Revolori, and the prince who is kind of he's a playboy, and I'm like, none of this just seems almost like what's that thing that Blake Lively was on years ago? You know the show I'm talking about, Gossip Girl. It felt like Gossip Girl up top. So I said, I don't know. But then I got the invite to the premiere, and I said, all right, I'm going to take my daughter. She hasn't been around this stuff. This might be for her. She hasn't seen the first one, so I'll see how she feels. Plus the fact I said, when I watched the prequels with her and I watched a couple other things with her and watched it through her eyes, I felt a little different. So let's see. So the first 10 minutes hits again, and I feel the same way. But she's loving it. I was like, this it's clearly geared for her. She's 11. Turns 11 tomorrow. She's 11 years old, and she's loving this. So I was like, okay, so they found their audience because she's into it. And again, set design looks great. Obviously, from 35 years or whatever it is, the CGI, the music is fantastic. James Newton Howard taking over from, I think, the original scores from the late great James Horner. Ooh, sorry. Anyway. So I said, all right. And Warwick Davis hadn't even shown up at this point. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. The whole thing is, again, I get it. The princess, she doesn't want to be tied down. She wants to, she's a rebel. There's a criminal in the, the criminal in the jail kind of filled the role for Mad Mardigan, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer wanted to be in this. Obviously, health reasons couldn't be. They opened the door for him to be in it. And, again, Joanne Whaley, who is from the original cast, plays the queen. Great. And I was watching it this time, knowing that I had the issue with the modern speech pattern and all that stuff, and the modern performances mixed with the classic fantasy, what we're used to performances. And I started to replace the dialogue. And I say, is it the dialogue? And I started replacing the dialogue as they were talking as I was hearing them speaking in modern, or English accents and more fantastical language and dialect. And I said, no, it's not the script. It's the way that they're speaking. That's what's bothering me. That's what's bugging me. It's like, it's the performances, and it doesn't seem like they're in the same show. And then there's an event that happens, and then something happens around like the inciting incident that sets them off onto this mission to go and essentially find Willow. And I said, okay, I like this story. I'm into the story now. I'm not, because when I watched it to the screen, I was like this. I texted a bunch of people. I'm like, this is a bummer, because I think it stinks. I don't think it stinks. I think now, after the first 10 or 15 minutes, for me anyway, it was very tough to get through. It finds its way the same way the mission. There's still those parts of the cast starts to find their chemistry together, and you have to get over the kind of modern performances. You have to. Otherwise, I think it'll just sink you in your enjoyment. But it starts to play, and there's a battle scene that happens up top in the first like 15 minutes, and it's creepy. And again, I judge it by my daughter, and see, she was like kind of like hiding her face, but still kind of looking up and seeing, because she was so into it, but she was scared. And I was like, okay, that's a good way to, if that was your intent, that it succeeded, because it didn't seem cheesy. It didn't seem creepy. It seemed like the costumes and the way that they played it didn't seem over CGI'd. And I was like, okay, this is the stuff so far that I'm really liking about this show. And then as they get into the mission, there's one scene, and I guess that this is, because I don't know if this is a non-spoiler or spoiler. I'm trying not to get too spoilery into it if you haven't seen it. But there's a moment that happens, and a character dies. And the rest of the cast, they're like, oh, okay. It's like, I thought that person was kind of connected to you. It seemed like they were connected to you, and they didn't give a shit that you died. And there's just little moments like that, but yeah, I didn't have that kind of like, oh, I can't, like, I wanted to bail on it. I wanted to leave the way that I did in the first 15 minutes at all, because the second episode, significantly better than the first. And I think it's because the established character. Someone asked me, is it better than Lord of the Rings? As far as production goes, at $50 million an episode, no, it's not better as far as production goes. Is the investment that I was at the very end of the last few Lord of the Rings, I was really I was into it. But I will say, I think that they've established their characters better in the first two episodes than Lord of the Rings did. Like, I know all the characters. I understand all the characters and what their motivations are and the idea. And then once Warwick Davis is introduced into the show really picks up, and it's for the obvious reasons, because Warwick Davis is phenomenal. He's just so likable. The character of Willow is so likable. Where Willow is, I think they did a very good job in establishing what Willow has been doing in that time, what has happened with the baby that he was taking care of, how that kind of plays into it, and now that this new evil is coming in, how this new kind of band of renegades have to play together. They do incorporate the story of Mad Mardigan and where he is or what he's been going through. They don't necessarily, obviously, to show him, because Val Kilmer is ill at the moment. But you've got Ruby Cruz, who plays Kit, who's the main princess. Ellie Bamber is Dove, is the girl who the prince is involved with, and then she wants to get involved into the mission. And Amar Chadha Patel plays Tharix, and I think he's kind of the new Mad Mardigan. He's the criminal I was telling you about that gets involved in the mission as well. Joanne Whaley, Erin Kellyman, who we know, she plays Jade, but she's so great. I love her. I wish there was more of her so far. They probably have more, but she's basically wants to get involved as the queen's soldier, and she does, and she's got this complex relationship with Kit. And I'm on board now. I'm on board, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Will I tell you that I love the show and I can't wait? No, not yet. Because I still have, there are still certain performances and certain things that are happening throughout it where I'm like, it just seems like someone acting. And then there's other times I'm like, this is a fantasy show I've been waiting for. So the acting oof part is dominant in that first 15 minutes. If you can get past it, if it bothers you, if you get past it, I think that you'll go on the ride. If it doesn't bother you, you're going to love it. If the first 15 minutes, I don't care, this is fun, I'm enjoying it, the modern language and the performances aren't bothering me at all, I think you're going to love this show. If you get past that 15 minutes, if you don't like it, get past that 15 minutes and you still don't like it, then I don't think it's going to be the show for you. I like the I really liked the second episode. Because that's when Willow really gets involved and the mythology starts to play inside of it. They get a little darker at times. I think that it is nostalgic, and it reminds me on like what they could have done back in, if they had this kind of technology, what it might have looked like in '86, I think, when the movie came out. So I'm definitely going to keep watching it, which is a big surprise to me, because when I saw the first 15, I said, had it not been for my daughter, I don't know if I would have went back to watch it. And I'm glad that I did. And I'm invested in it right now to see where the story continues. I hope that they start to blend a little bit more into the fantasy realm and get away from that modern CW feel, but I might just have to live with it. What'd you guys think if you watched it? Did you dig it? Did you not like it? Please go ahead and comment. Tell me exactly what you thought. I'm very curious to hear what people's takes on it. I haven't really seen too much talk about it yet. I've been waiting to get the review out. Let me know. And then make sure you watch Sith Council a little later on today. Myself, Mike, and Steph will be back talking about some stuff. And that's it. All right, guys. If you're brand new to the channel and you've never been here before, do me a favor, will you? Just subscribe. Hit that button. Trying to get to 70 by the end of the year. And that's it. Thanks for joining us. This is the Willow Review. Peace.